Okay, so we're going to talk about avoiding financial schemes and fraud. So we talked a little bit earlier about identity theft, but there's many other kinds of fraud that's perpetrated around money. White-collar crimes, as we call it. Okay, so our objectives in this unit are going to be to examine the various types of financial schemes, frauds, and scams. So we're going to go over in detail some of these. To analyze the methodology behind financial schemes, frauds, and scams. To recommend techniques for avoiding financial schemes, frauds, and scams. And I'm going to give you a vocabulary handout, and it's going to detail or give a definition of each one of these scams, and we're going to go into detail about each one. Okay, financial schemes and fraud scams, the definition, they're crimes of obtaining money by deliberate deception. So someone is trying to get money in a criminal way. They're being deceptive. They're detrimental to today's society. They hurt the economy. They're hard to convict and catch. They're normally targeted at college students, newlyweds, and senior citizens, and those unfamiliar with the internet. So elderly people are a prime target for some of these scams, as are young adults, because they feel like that young adults don't know as much about finances as, you know, a person that's a little bit older and more educated do. That's not going to be the case with you guys, so you're going to know all about it. They should be avoided in order to preserve safety and security. So they often prey on people that they know are in financial hardship on some of these scams. And we'll find that in later chapters in this unit. Okay, so first we're going to talk about some schemes. So schemes and frauds and scams, they're all a little bit different. But the first one we're going to talk about is schemes. So most of you have heard of a pyramid scheme. We've all heard of that. Affinity fraud and identity theft. All of these are schemes to get money, being deceptive. Okay, here is kind of a pyramid scheme. Okay, so they're going to say, you send me $5. So, you know, everybody, $5 is not that much, right? And then have 5 friends send me $5. So you send out this, you get 5 of your friends to also send him $5. Have each of your 5 friends get 5 of their friends to send me $5. And all the while, they're promising that you're going to get all this money in the mail. It's kind of like a chain letter. So you're going to get all this money in the mail. But what happens is the con artist is the only one that makes a lot of money. So by promising that you're going to get rich, and you just send them $5, you have 5 friends, and those 5 friends, it just snowballs, and they're the only ones that profit from it. Okay, pyramid schemes are non-sustainable business models which involve the exchange of money, require the recruitment and enrollment of other individuals. And there are thousands and thousands of pyramid schemes out there, so you have to be careful, very careful. Depend on the exponential growth of new participants. Often it's you have people underneath you and you make money on what those people might sell or get. Set up a hierarchy for which individuals who join make payments to those above them in the pyramid. Can be called gifting clubs. Sometimes they're called gifting clubs. So whoever recruits you into this pyramid scheme, then you have to pay that person a little bit of your money. So the higher the person on the pyramid scheme, the more money they're making. So the structure of a pyramid scheme is based on individuals recruiting a specified number of other individuals to invest in a plan. Okay, if one person recruits 10 people, this is an example, they are paid $10 for each person they recruit. So that would be $100 to this person that's recruiting 10 people. Usually it's their friends, because your friends you have influence over. Family and friends are kind of your sphere of influence, so you can get them to help you out. Okay, if each of the 10 individuals recruit 10 more people, the first individual gets $1,000. So 10 more, they get $1,000. If each of the 100 individuals recruits 10 people, the initial recruiter gets paid $10,000. So you can see how it works, where that person, the original recruiter, is getting all the money. Okay, this is a pyramid scheme structure. Hopefully, okay, the schemer earns $60. Recruit pays initial $10, earns $10, pays additional $10. So all of these, and then on down here. So all of these recruits roll up to the schemer, the one that started the pyramid scheme. Okay, the catch of the pyramid scheme. There's 2 points which are inevitable. There's only a limited number of people that are going to be participating. Only so many people can be convinced to join. Some people are leery now of pyramid schemes and they don't want any part of it. Only profit gained by a participant occurs when money is lost by other participants. So the only time on these pyramid schemes that somebody gets money is because somebody else is losing it. If no one recruits new members of the scheme, there's no money, okay, so to pay anyone. Because really there's no real product. In these schemes, there's no real product. And there are legitimate things where recruiters get people underneath them, but a scheme or a deliberate fraud is a pyramid scheme. Okay, types of pyramid schemes include Ponzi schemes, chain letters, administered pyramid schemes, and elevator schemes. Ponzi schemes usually involve the stock market. Bernie Madoff was one that perpetrated a huge Ponzi scheme over several years. He's now in prison, and he, cheated thousands of people out of their life savings. He even had like celebrities as clients. So huge Ponzi scheme, and we'll talk more about Ponzi schemes later on. Chain letters, some of you may have gotten those in the mail. People used to do chain letters a lot more than they do today, but that is a scheme. You might get a chain letter that says, put $1 in this envelope and send it to 10 of your friends, and they put $1, send $1 to me, and then 10, send it to 10 other friends. So, and they promise that you're going to get a lot of money in the mail, but in reality, it really doesn't happen that way. Administered pyramid schemes and elevator schemes. We're going to talk about all of these in detail. Okay, so Ponzi schemes are fraudulent investment operations which involve paying abnormally high returns to investors out of the money paid by other investors. So how it works is they might get, if you're a financial advisor, and in the case of Bernie Madoff, he owned a company and he was legitimate, he had all the right credentials, so he would get someone to invest $500,000. And he would take that and not really invest it and get someone else to invest, and he would dummy up statements so that people thought they were making money, and if they ever requested money out of it, he would use some of the money that other people had invested. So he kept this going for years and years, where there was millions of dollars that people thought they were making when they looked at their financial statement from him. They thought they were making bukus of money in the stock market, like high rates of return. And in reality, he wasn't really investing it. He was using the money for himself. He was but he kept getting more and more and more and more, so he became very wealthy, and he became very well known because he was making these high rates of returns. Okay, the Ponzi scheme was actually named for Charles Ponzi, who tricked thousands of Americans into investing in a postage stamp scheme in the 1920s. So I have a movie about both of these, the Bernie Madoff, and there's some information about Charles Ponzi. So we may watch that later on in the week. The characteristics of a Ponzi scheme include an article placed in a newspaper, magazine, promising extraordinary returns on an investment. So everybody who invests money wants to make more. You know, that's the point of investing money. You want to make a bit higher return. So if someone who is legitimate, who has all their credentials like Charles Ponzi did, and also Bernie Madoff and others, they trust them. So they're making all these high returns for these other people, so they want to invest more. So example would be 25% for a 1-month contract. Okay, precise system for the return can be attributed to anything, but is not very specific. Okay, an example, hedging, futures trading, high yield investment programs, global currency exchange, etc., all promising methods for grand returns, but not specific. So in other words, all this means is that in a Ponzi scheme, they're promising you high rates of return, but they're not being very specific about how they're doing it. You know, exactly what they're investing in, but, you know, people tend to not care if they get a statement and they trust that person, right? And they get a statement and it shows that they're making, 20% return on their money, 25%, then they're not questioning it. Because, again, this person has all the credentials, they trust them, a bunch of other people have invested with them, even celebrities and stars. So Ponzi schemes are very they're very attractive for someone to perpetrate because they end up making a whole lot of money. So we'll talk about Ponzi schemes and explain it in more detail. But basically, it's a white-collar crime, usually involving the stock market and investments. Okay, it also includes the return to the individual investors is paid out of the new incoming investment money, not out of profits. So here's an example. So Kate puts in money. This money goes to pay the profit from Matt, Sally, and Joe, who invested before her. So early investors get paid more. So for instance, if he has all this money and he's he has people to keep giving him more, different people, then if somebody says, well, I need, maybe you have to take out some money of your investment when you retire, then I need to take out $100,000. He has the money because he keeps getting more money in. So he has that $100,000 to give to that person because he's making so much money on everybody's new investments. So therefore it never gets caught. People don't call him on it. But eventually the Ponzi scheme does fold because they just run out of resources, and they all get caught at one point or another. Unfortunately, when they do get caught, a lot of people have lost their livelihood. I mean, their retirement, their life savings. That would be detrimental to a lot of people. What they were going to leave their children, their inheritance that they were planning on leaving their children. It's a very sad situation for those that have been victims of a Ponzi scheme. This is just a little graphic Matt was the first investor, Sally's the second investor, Joe's the third investor, and Kate's the fourth investor. So Kate's profit goes up to Matt, Sally's goes up to Matt, then Joe's may go up to Sally, Kate's may go up to Joe. So it's just kind of a flow chart of how the Ponzi scheme works. Okay, so we're going to stop here, and then we're going to talk a little bit more about Ponzi schemes tomorrow. We're going to do some research and really dig into how Ponzi schemes work.